installed this VMware workstation, and then we deployed EXSI host, and then on top of it we deployed Windows virtual machine.
Right.
About this thing, Binayak, the software which we are using for VMware workstation, this has a limited free trial for 1 month. So is there any like free software for this which has no expiry with the limited features maybe?
Oracle VM box is there, but again, I haven't ever installed VMware workstation into Oracle VM box, right? So this significantly requires a
Okay.
bit of research. VMware workstation keys you will get. We don't use torrent. Okay, I'll give you the VMware keys.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh, Venkat. Hi. Again, let's talk.
Yeah.
Oh, so Venkat, so what is your profile?
Yeah, I am is a project management role taking care for now the US clients. So why we need the VMware is the client requirement is the VMware SCCM Active Directory. Those knowledgeable requirement is asking for taking the projects in different locations in USA. So I need to do the certification course on VMware and SCCM and Active Directory. So that reason only we joined this courses.
So you are going to deal with more of commercial people or technical people after this project?
Yeah, technical peoples. That's only they want to more technically into the project management.
Okay. Okay. So let's begin here. So this is your VMware workstation, right? So this is a software like your MSP. It is used to create a print. A VMware workstation is created to your virtual machine. Now we have created a virtual machine called ESX. This particularly contains images from VMware's hypervisor called ESX. We downloaded that, installed that, and this is the machine. So let me walk through this step of creating a virtual machine in a couple of minutes. New virtual machine, click on next. I've installed operating system data, click on next. VMware ESX, select the proper version. It hardly matters, you select anything, install anything. Click on next. This is the location where the virtual machine will be created now. There is a bit of thing to be understand. These virtual machines exist in the form of files. So this is the place where the file will be created. Particularly a directory will be created with the name of this one, and a files will be created with the same name. So let's name it as example. Click on this, click on next, and store the virtual in a single file in a multiple. There is a bit of learning with that. I'll deal with this later. So let's take it as a single file. Click on next, finished. Now this virtual machine is created. Just a blank virtual machine. It's like a in physical world we go to market, purchase a machine there. This is the same. We could just use next finish. We purchased a machine sort of thing. But this is a virtual machine that is created. That's a form of file here. Okay. So if you start up this virtual machine, there will be an operating system unload error. So we need to install a virtual machine there. So click on this. Click on use ISO image. So you browse to the particular ISO image. So now you have to procure the ISO image from somewhere. There are a whole lot of steps there, and availability is there even. So let's select ESX 6.5. So this is hypervisor. So now there are a whole lot of DVDs available. So because this is a product suite, this is not single product there. So VMware vSphere is a product suite. So it contains several ISOs that comes with it to install several products there. So VMware hypervisor exactly can be understood with VMvisor, right? So it's least DVD size there. So click on this, click on this, click on open. Okay. I'll just power on this virtual machine. And it's a pretty simple step. If you would have installed any operating system in a Unix environments, that sort. Have you installed that, Venkat?
Huh?
Any Unix operating system?
Yeah, we install because I am using the VMware now in Windows, Unix, everything will be installed in my laptop itself. But my
So
worry is that,
installation is pretty simple.
yeah, my worry is that the license is got expired. So again, I downloaded again install in the same laptop. I'm not able to do. It's showing the pin not able to power on is a disabled mode.
Okay. So once you have installed this and let it just load, I'll come to that. Okay. So once you have installed this, okay, Weber here.
Yeah.
Should I complete the installation or should I move to the next class?
Uh, because for me, I know it already.
Fine. So let's move that. Uh, so let's assume that the machine has installed, right? We'll come to
Yeah.
that once it stands to asking to us a question there. First thing what we have to do, we have to power on this virtual machine to get the thing running. Now the point is, let's power on this machine once. Look at the bit of steps here. What's the thing that is being done?
This is the machine which we created yesterday.
Right. So you can actually
It
yeah.
takes so long to boot up. Huh?
Right. It takes long to boot up. In a bare metal environment where you're installing this one directly, it will take less time to install. It takes almost 20 seconds to install on an SSD. Right. I have an implemented solution. Okay. So this is the IP address that it will be exactly having. So we set it static IP address. I'll tell you how to do it afterwards, but it will have an IP address somehow if there is a
Okay.
DHCP running. So HTTP:// watch out the IP address, type it over there on the browser. So come on this way. HTTP://192.168.124.161. What was the password?
You had written it, I think.
Yeah, I did. I
VMware
wrote it.
123 exclamation or something like that. One X, but you wrote it in your notes.
Okay. So this is the interface that you'll get. Now, try to imagine, Venkat, that you have a router that you purchased from it from the market. Now you want to configure that router, so you have got a default IP address, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you just type http:// default IP address of that router, and you get to a page. So this is how something like that. So you get to a page wherein you can create a virtual machine. Now the point is, from today, this is what we have to learn. This we are creating a virtual machine over here. Last day we created a virtual machine. So if you go to virtual machines over here at this part of the page, you'll find that this is the virtual machine that we created last time. So if you just click on this one and click on power, and it will be powered on. Now the point is that this virtual machine exists in the same data store
Sorry,
as the
do
operating.
you hear some noise in between?
No,
I'm just hearing a little bit
which
of
sort of noise?
noise, like some
Which sort
pinching
of?
sound. Is anybody of us on a speaker and not on headphones?
Yeah, we are online.
All on headphones. Yeah, maybe then just some noise on the network. Okay, yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So this virtual machine exactly exists in the same data store or same hard disk where this ESXi lies, isn't it? Come on, it's a question,
Yes, yes.
right? So if we lose ESXi, we are going to lose this virtual machine in fact.
Virtual.
So what, right? So what we need to do, we need to add a hard disk. Now the question is, MSP. Let's come to a solution for this one. So we have one ESXi over here. We have one hard disk attached over here. So this hard disk contains our ESXi's as well as virtual machines. So what we need to do, we need to add one more hard disk. Simple solution. We need to add one more hard disk and one more virtual machine over here. One more hard disk over here and create virtual machines at this place. Now the point is that once we create virtual machines at this place, what we can do is that in worst case, if this ESXi is down, somehow if we protect this hard disk, we'll be able to have one more bare metal, attach one more hard disk, install ESXi into that, and swap this hard disk from this location to this location. Our machine will be up and running. It's a simple case. Now the point is that in today's environment, this is okay for small enterprises. We generally don't do this way for a bigger enterprise there. So what we do for a bigger enterprise, we have a central storage. So this is a central storage. Let's assume it, right? So this is a central storage. We attach this ESXi to this one. Again, this ESXi to this one. Store virtual machines over here at this place. Right. So we'll understand both these approaches. This is what we have to learn in data store over here, particularly a basic idea of how to use a data store. Any question? No question.
Good.
Okay. So what we need to do, we need to power off the hard disk, power off the ESXi's, and we have to attach the hard disk. Now the point is that you might be thinking that, do we really need to power off this ESXi? No, it's not at all required. We don't exactly require to power of the ESXi and attach that, not even in VMware Workstation, but will not simulate that. You simulate it at your home. So we are going to shut down the machine. Now what is it? Wait a sec. So F2 is for shutdown. Okay, so edit virtual machine settings, add. Guys, just hang on for a second. Okay, so I'm back. So click on hard disk, click on SATA, sorry, ISCSI, new virtual hard disk. Same thing, store virtual hard disk, single file. So this is the size of the hard disk, it can be extended. Okay, so we have 240 GB hard disk power on this virtual machine. This page has expired, I guess. So just refresh it. I think that.
So in this case, we will only be using the compute power of the host, and all the data of the virtual machines will be saved on another disk.
Another disk. Preferably in today's environment, if you are working with a small organization, right, so which has a, let's say, turnover of around 5 to 10 lakh rupees per year, what you'll give him a NAS. Purchase him a NAS, give him a NAS with a significant speed, not required fiber optic cable, preferably running in 1 Gbps there. Attach this to that system over there, that NAS you have purchased, and once you have done that, you can store that in NAS. Hard disk is for the one who has got a turnover for less than 5 lakh rupees. And now it is up to you. You deal with which scale of enterprise, that is, you will have to decide.
Can you will you also explain a little bit about the different type of storages we have? I'm not aware of it.
I'll come to that. We'll have a talk when this sort of thing is going on. We'll have a talk.
Okay.
What are the organizations that you are exactly going to take project? What is the turnover for that? Do you have you analyzed that turnover on some social media or something? Because that is what makes exactly the amount of money that they are going to invest.
That will be quite huge.
Right. So the understandable. So these people exactly in real time, what happens is that the storage is actually run up by a different person over there, right? So you give contract to the storage people, they'll come up and do their whole stuff. You have to just connect their IUSS fiber optic at the Ethernet channel to your switched network over there, and then go further. You want to set it up your own, then you will have to just put in your brain. Okay, so the system is up. This thing is very annoying, and it has got a very less people who have done the solution for this one. Okay. I just refreshed it, and it's God's grace that it has come. Okay, so come to storage. So you'll find that we have got one storage called data store 1. Now the point is rename it first of all, because here everything is being identified by a name, right? You use tags to route a traffic, right? In the Linux environments or in this environment even, you have certain technologies that you install over here, and it will identify the network tags over there, that this is the network tag, so I have to use this path of the switch to route the traffic over there. So preferably name it properly. So this is your ESX1 or whatever, disk 1. So the first ESX disk 1, say. So we have devices. So you have got two devices over here. So you can see there, you have got a 40 GB disk and you have got this 40 GB disk over there. So now new data store, click on this and name it as ESX1_D2. Click on next, and this identifies the disk that is blank. Click on next, click on next. Now here is a point that you can just pay in a bit of your head, so which VMFS version you want. So stable one is all this. Click on next, click on finish. So the entire contents of the disk will be erased, obviously. On this, click on next. Okay, so refresh it a bit. Come to data stores. We are expected to find ESX1D2. So this is the disk that has you can say 292 MB being provisioned. You have 38 point. This is how you identify the disk over there. Any question as of now?
I think the screen is hanging for me.
Yes, it is hanging.
Did you already move over there?
No, I didn't move. I am on the browser.
No.
So is it's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. I can see the browser here.
So you can see the two data stores, ESX1_D1, ESX1_D2. Right?
And VMFS is the type of this data store.
VMFS is the type of data store. Correct.
So there is only one type.
Okay,
VMFS
see,
5.
VMFS technically it's what do you call, what is this? What do you mean by this type? Technically, this means that this is the file system that you are using, like FAT, like ext3, like ext4, like XFS. VMFS is a file system that is particularly designed by VMware to support virtual machines. Got that?
Okay.
So just don't mess up with the type. Type exactly means that this is the file system. So if somehow you are able to manage and bring up a FAT file system, it will show you as vFAT. Okay, let's move. So now we have to understand one thing, that we have one ESL. Let's come to this vSphere. We have one ESX, I know. We have several virtual machines that this one is holding. Let's say that your organization now wants some sort of fault tolerance, or in other case, it doesn't want a fault tolerance. Let's say he purchased this machine and he has installed several virtual machines inside this particular hard disk over here. Now this capacity is full, the hard disk is full, the processor utilization is full, the RAM that it has is full, and it cannot upgrade that. It wants another virtual machine for in this case. Sorry, another ESX in this case. So he gets another ESX. He puts up on this hard disk, and he has now several virtual machines running inside that. Now he doesn't require much as of now. Now one day he thinks that somehow he needs to take backup of the virtual machine that is located over here, right? He now does not have a solution because he needs to do this one, give this one into maintenance. So what he was thinking of moving this virtual machine from this place to this place, but there is no solution as of now until unless you have a central hard disk over here. If you have a central hard disk, just unplug it and do some stuff over here, this virtual machine will be visible. There are 2 or 3 approaches to do that. One, keep this virtual machine in a central storage. Next solution is that bring out something called vCenter server. So we have a vCenter server that is coming up over here now. So this vCenter server, what it does, it looks to this ESXi at the same point of time, right? So since it looks to these 2 ESXi's at the same point of time, what it has got the capabilities now, it can move the virtual machines from this place to this place. Now you might be thinking the movement of a virtual machine from one hard disk to other, why not? If you can copy files from one network location to another network location, why can't we move files? Because virtual machines in fact are files. So if this file is being used over here, I just want to move this virtual machine from this place to this place, quite possible. So what exactly is being implemented at this place? At the lower layer, we have got a Linux sort of operating system. Above that, we are running some sort of database. This database keeps tracks of all the ESXi's and all the virtual machines that is running over here, right? Since it is a database, there are certain rules, queries being applied to that, which enables us to do this movement, right? Not only movement, there are certain other things that has been exactly enhanced with the availability of this product called VMware vCenter server. I'll call it as VCS, vCenter server. So once this vCenter server is implemented, we have got a database. Now this database has got certain queries which enables us to do this task. And not only the movement of the virtual machines, facilities like cloning, templating, uh, availability of distributed virtual switches. This is available because of this vCenter server. We don't have distributed virtual switches if we don't have vCenter server. We don't have cloning if we don't have vCenter server. So if you come to this place over here, you'll find that this machine cannot be cloned. Okay, just right click over here and find. Do you find an option of cloning? We don't find an option of cloning over here. We have got an option of snapshot rather, right? But we don't have an option of cloning. This option of cloning is not available because this product is not exactly patched up with that. That means we need to have a vCenter server. Now we added a hard disk. That is why we added a hard disk, because we don't want our vCenter server, which is a critical part of our infrastructure, to be there in the same hard disk as our ESXi server. So remember that even if it is a small enterprise, you are implementing your virtual infrastructure there with vCenter server. So don't let them keep the vCenter server with the same place, because at one point of time you will be there in mess. Okay, so we'll create a virtual machine this way. Right click, create and register virtual machine. So we have an OVF file for that, right? So click on this, click on finish and drag and drop. Here I'll have an error, I think so. ISO 6.5, and we don't have an OVF image over here, right? So what we'll have to do, we'll have to come to my location where the files are saved, this place, and we'll have to somehow mount this one. So this is okay. Why I'm not using this one? This is an installable source. Why to go for an installation if an OVF is available? Now some critics will tell them why I'll go for an installable. So for installable thing, you require an operating system. Surface. Okay. sorry for that commercial. Okay, so VMware, this installable, why don't prefer installable? For that you have to install an operating system like Linux or Windows, and above that you install your vCenter server. vCenter server is nothing but a database and a program that lets you do Active Directory sort of stuff. This is an inbuilt thing. That means you don't have to pay for the licenses even. You get this one and you have got the license to run this vCenter server. So right click and mount. So we have got this one over here. So come to this one, and this is your place where you have exactly this OVF. So I'll preferably drag and drop it. Where did it go? And name of the machine is VCS81.
So this OVF basically contains your VMDK file, or?
Yes, VMDK file, obviously.
So it's just like attaching a hard disk to it with already containing everything.
Yes, Microsoft gave a product cabinet, remember? Cab file. So in which we kept all the things over there that is required to run an application. This is something like that. Then now, since we have virtualized environment, we have given this a name called OVF. See, Vibhor, you know what? We are not, what I feel is that we are not doing exactly something new, right? We are exactly bringing that same product, same way, other way out. I'll explain you that. We are exactly playing with the technology. Technology is exactly playing with us. Okay, whatever. Yes, I1D2. Click on this, click on next. So license agreement has to be accepted. If you read this license agreement, you will never feel like accepting it. Whatever. This something somewhere. I just cancelled it or something, or I clicked it somewhere else. See, this is again a bug or something like that. See, the program is nowhere. I clicked on somewhere else. Okay. Network mapping. This is again VM network. We don't have network redundancy now. We have only one network interface card in our ASX box, right? This is again something that is not typically found in a server over there. If you purchase a server class hardware. So now, since we have only one network interface card, it's showing VM network. Otherwise, it would have shown multiple networks over there. Deployment model is the same. Okay, here. These are the all deployment models. Like this, but depending on the organization, you can select a deployment model at this point. So we'll go for us tiny. We don't have. Okay, disk provisioning thin and thick. Let's discuss it now. Example. Venkat?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What is the size of the hard disk that we have attached over there in this ESXi box?
Yeah, you attach to a
Sorry?
40 GB hard disk.
40 GB hard disk. Only 40 GB or 80 GB?
The 240 GB hard disk, so totally 80 GB.
So, ultimately, it sums up to 80 GB, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So, where is the location of the file?
We see in this EXE file.
So, what is the location of the file? What is the location of this? This virtual machine exists in the form of file. So, what is the location of the file? c:/vms slash
c:/vms at exa
underscore g1, right? So let's go to
yeah.
that place. c:/vms slash this one, right?
Yeah.
Go to properties. What is the size of the file?
Size of the 1 GB.
1.03 GB, right?
1.03.
Now, the point is that this ESXi exactly exists because of this hard disk, right? This is ESXi because this hard disk contains ESXi. The size of this hard disk and the size of the RAM being utilized particularly exactly decides, not exactly the RAM, this, in fact, the size of the hard disk exactly decides that what is going to be the size of the particular virtual machine. So if this size of the DK file that you are seeing in the form of hard disk over there exactly is 1.3 GB, it will show that it's 1.3 GB, right? So what's the, imagine that you have a cake, right? I gave you a cake of 3 inches long. You don't want to eat 3-inch long cake, so you just sliced off 1 inch, you ate that, right? So this is something like that. You have a 40 GB disk space to be utilized in total. Now the files written is in a space of 1.3 GB. So ultimately 1.3 GB is a consumed space. It will extend up to 40 GB, or in fact 80 GB over here, because you have 2 hard disks, right? So this is the first hard disk, this is the second hard disk. This is the first 40 hard disk, this is the second 40 hard disk. So it will be exactly extending and being utilized up to 40 GB both hard disks over there. Till now, the hard disks has been utilized as 1.03 GB. Don't look at this. That's 1.03 GB over here. The point is that the extent that I gave you, if you utilize less and show that it is less being utilized, this is called thin provisioning. If I gave you a 40 GB disk and at front you are showing that I am using 40 GB disk over there, right? This can be done if you are making that disk thick disk. Thick disk means I give you a 3-inch cake. You don't want to don't have eaten 3 inch of cake. You have eaten 1 inch of, but still you are telling that it's mine. I don't want to give it to anybody else, right? So this is something like that. So now this if you have understood, if you just click on next, and this machine is made up of, let's say, 100 GB of disk, but still on the disk it is utilizing only 10 GB, it will show that I am utilizing 10 GB. If you use thick, the whole of the 100 GB will be occupied from this 40 GB of space. Now you will tell that how this is possible. This will not possible. This cannot be done. Now let's assume that, let's come with a proper example. Let's that the machine is 30 GB exactly in size. The total disk OVF file is of 30 GB. If you use thick, the 30 GB or will be sliced off from that 40 GB. You will have 10 GB remaining. If you use thin, the 30 GB disk that is made up of this OVF file over there, it's utilizing, let's say, 7 GB over there. Less 23 GB will be remaining. You don't have that space being utilized. It will show that this is a free space of additional 23 GB over. This you have understood. Thin and thick.
Yeah.
Venkat?
Yes.
Thick means just over committing, right? Sorry, thin means over committing, that don't have that much of space. That means you can have 50 GB of space in actual, and you can create 100 GB of machine over there if all of them utilize, let's say, 250 MB, 250. Thick, you cannot do that. Click on this, click on next. So I go for a thin one. Now this page, network configuration. You want to assign an IP address. Okay, go and assign an IP address over there. Okay. If you just mess up, just come over here and drag it a bit. Come over here. IPv4 or IPv6. It's written properly. IPv4. Okay. So what is this one? Network mode. Static or DHCP? So static. What is this? IP address. So 192.168.24.161. network prefix I guess 24, right? Default gateway 168.124.2, DNS server 192.168.124.2, network identity fully qualified domain. Okay, VCSA1 dot
Hello. The
sorry,
volume.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I am here, I was just high cough.
Okay.
SSO configuration directory password. This is the password that you use to log in. So remember this password. So VM.
Is it like it puts all the files related to the virtual machine in a directory and then gives the password to it? Huh? Why does it call it directory password?
Hmm. Have you created many users at a time?
No.
Okay. We have a system called, okay, simple example. We have Google.com, right? So Google.com, if you go to www.google.com, you can type in a password, you can log on to Google. Once you log on to Google, like you can go to Google Drive, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Google Keep, you can whole lot. Once you click on that, you don't have to sign in again. Right. www.youtube.com is a different domain, right? It is in fact a different company. It has a different domain, it has a different setup, it has a different infrastructure. So both these domains, www.google.com and youtube.com, are able to authorize you through a single username and password. This sort of thing is called single sign-on. When you have a single account, you can sign into multiple services over there, right? So there are a whole lot of services, like you have VMware vSphere, this is one of the service. VMware NSX, this is again one other service. So all these services, when they have to be managed with some username and password. Like we are logging on to something called root and the password of that root. In the same way, we can log on as root and password for the root in VMware vCenter server. That will come in a couple of minutes. Now, would you like to have different passwords for managing network, managing storage, managing virtual machines, managing shutdown, managing migration? We don't like that. We'll have a single account. We can log into that and manage the whole infrastructure with a single account over there. So this password will exactly be used to manage the thing. Now, this is going to be the root's password. So RWD root and this directory password. Once you log on with that, you can create n number of users and let them do specifically some task. Like imagine that what can a single sign-on do? You have got a user called Bob. Now, Bob is not a very efficient administrator over there. He has not got that sort of learning. So he knows a bit of things in VMware infrastructure, like power on a machine, power off a machine. Let us give him this task. It said he comes to office, he powers on a machine and powers off a machine. So that is only possible if he doesn't get something called clone. If the clone is highlighted, you'll have to assign him permission, and if you don't let that option itself highlighted, that okay, clone is not highlighted, you have got only power on and power off highlighted. Even if you right click, this is what you'll get if you log on as Bob and your password. So this can be done something using single sign-on, right? So you log on to that, assign role-based access control, and let him do some tasks from network, some tasks from virtual infrastructure, some from your storage. Any question?
Yeah, so basically the directory password is for that user for single sign-on.
Right. And since all these things are exactly maintained some database, database is like a directory sort of thing, right? You can create directories inside databases, right? That is called single sign-on. It's a summation of a product like Active Directory and your Linux's NIS.
And this directory user, what will be the user for this kind of a thing? We have to figure out.
Root.
No, for directory, it will also be root.
Yes, RWT root. For now, it will be root. Once you have logged in as root, you want to assign role-based access control. We'll learn to that. We'll have a class for that role-based access.
Okay.
We can create users over there. But you got an idea that this can be done.
Yeah.
Right away, root password. Okay, so miscellaneous settings, what do we have? Customer experience program and domain name. And domain name search path even. So domain name is mydomain.net. Password is search path. Say okay. It is going to significantly take almost 40 minutes to install. So instead of wasting time, I'll show you an infrastructure that is ready, right? So it's not in fact completely ready. We'll have to do some sort of hands-on there, but let's move to that. This is a machine. If you want to do all the labs, you can have a machine like this with your Intel Core i3 CPU, not very big science here, and with a 32 GB of RAM, which is the utmost capacity of this machine. And we have got a solid state drive, which is your C drive here, right? And this is your 250 GB. You will get it on eBay, the used ones, right? And this is your D drive, which is your 2 terabyte hard drive over here, right? So we keep data over
Like
here.
a virtual. This is just a virtual machine.
This okay. Coming to that, actually, I'll explain you the lab environment. In the meantime, it's installing. I'll explain you the lab environment. This can be created if you want. So we have a Windows machine, right? So we have a motherboard with an Intel i3 processor into it and two hard drives. One is solid state hard drive, which is your 250 gigabytes, and this is your D drive with 2 terabytes. All the data I will keep over here, and C drive will be used to create your virtual machine. That will keep virtual machines files in C drive. What happens is that if you don't have a bare metal, I'll tell you a real story. What happens is that if you have a bare metal, right, a real server class hardware, and you keep your hard disk over there, and that is not even a solid state hard drive, it will perform well, right? That is because of the bus architecture of that motherboard. Now, if you have a desktop class motherboard, how to increase the performance and get the things done? You cannot do whole of the stuff in your laptop over there. This is exactly not going to work out, because if you start doing it on your laptop will either be getting heated off and it will start hanging. This is because of the motherboard's architecture. It's designed that way. You take a desktop, you insert a solid state hard drive into that. You keep your old hard disk to keep your data. In your C drive, you install your operating system. So I have all the operating systems in my C drive, right? I have kept my data over here. So in your C drive, What you do, you create a folder called VM and you start keeping your VMs over here. That means when you create a new virtual machine, you go and create this virtual machine at this location. Otherwise, you can come over here, edit preferences, and you can set the preferences to keep your virtual machines at this place. Now you can very prettily save your virtual machines. I use this for commercial purpose. You can directly access this machine from your location. It's running Linux. This is the machine that I am using for web hosting, right? So this is the whole infrastructure that I am running on a desktop, and this desktop has Windows 8.1 installed, right? I have switched on the firewall. I have done a bit of network picking stuff over here, right? Remember to keep a firewall on, right? Otherwise, Windows, you will get quite often some errors over there. You don't want to put antivirus, do not require. You keep the firewall on, Windows firewall works properly. And once you have done this one, you can install VMware, you set the preferences that I showed you, and once you have done that, you can create virtual machines at this place. Keep the virtual machines at this location. Remember that. So once you have done that, so this one you will be able to do all the labs. Now, let's come to this place. File, new window. So how many virtual machines I'm running? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 of the virtual machines are consuming how much of resources? 15 GB of memory, 34% of processor, and D drive quite less being utilized, and C drive. You'll find that once you start using your virtual machines, now this exactly disks become bottlenecks, right? They are going to be utilized 100%. Now, there is a database inside running. Remember that virtual machines, ESXi contains a virtual machine inside that. So it's a dream inside a dream sort of thing. So think of the amount of processing being required and the amount of IOs being required from one storage location to another storage location. Think of you being dreaming 2 dreams at the same point of time. So the disk IOs exactly become bottleneck. So once the IOs are exactly expired at a certain TTL, that particular function is not going to work. So how will you sort that out? You will have to keep that in a solid state hard drive, all the things running in a solid state hard drive, so that the things exactly run in a proper manner at a proper speed. You know, there is a commercial application of this one. One of my associates he has a website, thirdeyetech.net. You go to that. It's a surveillance organization. It exactly implemented this sort of thing. He exactly copied it, this one from him. I gave him a solution. I told him that you have to have a bare metal for that. He researched it out. He found that this bare metal, this desktop class motherboard, can be converted to a server class motherboard with ESXi directly installed into that bare metal. If you try to install ESXi directly into a desktop like Windows 7 or Windows XP or Windows 10 over there, it will not be installed. Why? It will stuck at one point of time asking you that I don't find proper drivers for network interface card. So what is the solution? Purchase a network interface card that is supported by your ESXi. Go to that hardware compatibility list, find it out. So he found an Intel class network interface card. He purchased it from eBay. In Indian currency, it costs around 2,000 rupees. Installed in just inserted the hardware, installed ESXi successfully, and he ran 40 virtual machines into that with 250 GB of RAM. Sorry, 250 GB of hard disk and 16 GB of RAM. Okay, so let's see what happened there. So any question as of now, guys? Vibor, what happened?
Regarding this lab, maybe I think you will explain it later on. So when we actually do the lab, just had a random question.
Yes.
These all the labs we will be doing in your setup, which you just showed us, right? We will get some connection and then we will log in.
You want to do it in my setup? Okay.
No, I'm just asking. Will it be like this, or we will be able to install it on our laptop?
See, on laptop you will not be able to do it. If you have a desktop, you can convert to that. Laptop, how much of RAM will you be able to put in your laptop? Think about that. What is the maximum capacity of your laptop? Venkat, are
Yeah.
you there? What is the
Yes.
maximum capacity of your laptop?
Yeah. 8 GB hard disk and processors
No,
i5.
no, no. Let's find it. Okay, so this one is not yet powered on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll power it on. Sorry, what is the maximum capacity of RAM that you can put in your laptop? Let's say your laptop has 2 GB of RAM. I'm not bothered about it. What is the maximum capacity of RAM that your laptop can support? What is the configuration? Is it a Mac, or is it a laptop that has Intel processor or AMD processor?
Intel processor.
Sorry?
Intel processor i5.
Intel processor. i5. So what is the maximum amount of RAM will you be able to put in your laptop?
8 GB.
No, 16 GB. Right.
Maximum utilization, right?
Now let's discuss on this one. So it's powering on. Don't relax. We are just having a bit of knowledge sharing. ESXi. What is the minimum amount of RAM required to run this one? This you
32.
can understand just by going to settings and looking at the amount of this is the default amount of RAM that this program gave this to this virtual machine. So 4 GB of RAM is required for ESXi. Okay, very good, excellent. Now let's go to settings. Get settings. Yes, this is your VCSA. VCSA means vCenter server, right? So memory. What is the amount of RAM that this OVF file has? Come
10
on,
GB.
somebody answer to this question, please. What is the
10
I
GB.
gave you a virtual machine? So how much?
10 GB.
Excellent, very good, 10 GB. So you require one ESX with 10 GB of RAM, right? And one vCenter server, one vCenter server with 10 GB of RAM and one ESXi with 4 GB of RAM. So what is the cumulative amount of RAM you require?
14.
14. How much of RAM do you have in laptop?
Maximum 16.
16. Still you have 2 GB. Very good, excellent. Now, once you start learning migration and all, you will create one more ESXi. So 4 plus 4, 8, and plus 10, 18. 18 there. And 18 is the, you can say, the lowest capacity of RAM that you require, isn't it? So, and still there is one more bottleneck over here. Hard disk, right? Okay. Now there are certain solutions to that, but again, it's not a solution. In India, we call it jugaad. See here. In laptop, you can run, but not pretty easy. If you have got time, you can sit back and relax and do this thing. Purchase something called Caddy, right? Once you have purchased this product, its form factor is like your CD DVD drive. Just insert, take out your CD DVD drive if you have in your this one in your laptop, because not all laptops have this one, right? Insert solid state drive into that and installs. That means you have to purchase two things: one Caddy and one solid state drive. Assemble this one and put it into your laptop and put some RAM and do one thing. Purchase one this what is called as external memory card. Sorry, the spelling mistake. I made a mistake. SD card. I'm just wrong with this XD card and use it as Ready Boost. Have you heard of this one, Ready Boost?
No.
Okay, no problem. This is something when you can utilize this one You have this is a solid state. This is our external card, SD card, right? So you can use this SD card as if it's like a RAM. Once you have done that, come to VMware Workstation, go to Edit Preferences, go to Memory, and allow most virtual memory to be swapped. Try to use some of these, right? This too. Don't use this one. See which one works out for you. You'll be able to run 2 ESXis and one vCenter server with 1 or 2 machines over there. So this can be done, but again, it requires time. Let's see if that machine is on. So it's ready HTTP colon / localhost. It didn't take an IP address. Can you see that? Vibhor? Venkatesh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No IP address. Yes.
No IP address. It should have taken an IP address once we gave this one an IP address. Okay. So I'm switching off the class today. Right. You install this operating system. We'll come up with that IP address tomorrow. There is an error. You find it out. This is an error. You search the web. You'll be able to find 1 or 2 solutions. Let's see that solutions works or not. Resources are being shared. Resources are being shared. Vibhor?
Yeah, but we install it on the setup which we have prepared locally because there will be no resources, right? If we try to install it.
No. I'm not talking about that. I am not talking about that. I am talking about this one.
Hmm.
Did you get this one? You can see my desktop, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is your ID.
Yeah. I have this. Yes.
So this is Gmail. This is the Gmail drive, which contains 1 or 2 ISOs, 2 or 3 ISO images, right? Did you download this one? Install ESXi? I shared it earlier.
Yeah, I already installed it. Yes.
Right. So it even contains your where is it? This one. VM Visor, VIM, which is the thing that we are using, right?
Uh-huh.
So download it, install it, try it out. What it shows? Does it show localhost or does it show an IP address over there?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but actually my question was, will I be like you just showed that it requires 10 GB of RAM and the other one, the EXSI host already requires 4 GB of RAM. So will I be able to install it on my system? That's what I was
Very good. Excellent question. Do this one. Okay.
asking. Okay.
Do you understand this?
Yeah, but
What will happen if I use this one? This thing has to be understood. Vibhor,
yeah.
if you understand this one, you will understand that what is swapping. And if you understand what is swapping now, wherever you have swapping now, you'll understand that okay, fine, it's a good, it's bad. But what do you understand by allow most virtual machine memory to be swapped? Because there is something called TPM that you'll have to understand afterwards. If you understand it now, that will be much better.
I'm not sure.
Okay. See, what happens is that when try to imagine something, close your eyes and try to imagine something. You have got RAM, microprocessor, and a hard drive, right? So these are the 3 important components that is working. That is in a transition with each other. So the amount of time that will be taken from RAM to microprocessor for transition of data will be quite less than from your hard disk to RAM. Hard disk to RAM, it's called loading, and RAM to microprocessor, it's called processing. So loading time will always be greater than processing time, right? So how to exactly avoid this bottleneck? We cannot completely avoid this bottleneck, but we can lessen the time of loading. So how can we do that? RAM has a file system. Any storage has a file system. So RAM is a storage. It's a volatile storage, okay, but still it's a storage. It has a file system. So first, what we have to do, we have to take some file from your hard disk, which is either in FAT, NTFS, or ext3, ext4, whatever, and convert that to the file system that is understood by your RAM. Why not exactly convert it somewhere in the hard disk earlier, whenever the data is being required, and then send it back to your RAM over there, so that the amount of time that is required for conversion saves over there. Next, transition will be easier in that case because already the data is being converted, right? So amount of space that is being utilized in your hard disk as a RAM is called swap area. So this is what it is telling, that do you want more virtual machines to be swapped? That means in that swap area, most of the virtual machines memory area will be exactly saved in the form of the file system being understood by RAM. So this will exactly be slower, right? Because that has to exactly convert it somewhere and keep it safe and then load it to RAM once again, right? But more amount of memory you will get in that case. It's a sort of virtual RAM that you have got. Why? Because one RAM, physical RAM you have got, and one area of RAM, one area of hard disk is being utilized as a RAM. So two RAMs at the same point of time. But transition will be exactly slower. Why? Because it has already been converted and you have to again transfer it. So this exactly lets you run more number of virtual machines in lesser amount of RAM, and this exactly lets you fit into that.
Can you please explain this concept again? It's not very clear to me.
Okay, there is a hard disk, right? So where once you are using one area of hard disk as your virtual memory, right? That virtual memory is in fact being utilized as the RAM. So this particular concept of doing the thing is called swapping. So this particular area of hard disk that exactly contains something like RAM or the file system like RAM is called virtual memory. This procedure is called swapping. Let me show it to you practically for you. Go to this PC, go to property. Go to performance, go to settings, go to advanced, go to settings. This is the area where you can exactly find the amount of, okay, read this.
Okay.
Got that? So the solution to your problem, practical solution to your problem is that you come over here, don't set the size automatically, or even if you set the size automatically, today's operating system are very brilliant to set their page file sizes automatically over there. Come over here, just watch out the page size. That means your system is actually utilizing 1 GB of additional space as RAM. That means I have got 12 GB of RAM. The system has got 1.8 GB additional, right? That means my laptop has 12 plus 1.8. So this is the place where you have set in your virtual memory. Now you come to this place and go to edit, go to preferences, go to memory, and set this one up. You will be able to run more number of virtual machines. This is the practical approach.
But is there any limit of this? How much can I set?
Obviously, come on. Obviously, there is a limit. Obviously, there is a limit.
Because I have 8 GB of RAM on my laptop. So how much can I set this?
Set it to almost 4 more GB. See, in Linux, there is a concept. I don't know how much it is exactly full proven in Windows environment. In Linux, there is a concept. Why I exactly deal about Linux? I generally, you will find me using VMware workstation in Windows environment. Why? Because these mics don't work properly in Linux, right? Otherwise, I am a Linux guy. In Linux, you have got something called swapping, swap swap, right? And you can set a swap area using a command called swap on or swap off. Now the recommended size in Unix environment is exactly double the size of RAM. That means if your physical machine having 1 GB of RAM, you need to set a swap size of 2 GB. This is the recommended one, and this was recommended by my gurus when I was in with Linux, Red Hat Linux 7, that means 2002. But in today's environment, things have changed a bit, right? So you need to adjust that. Again, think of a SQL server running. You're swapping a SQL database. No, do not require. You are swapping a file server. Fine, okay, fine. It's okay, understandable. So in different environments have different requirements. My Guruji told me it was twice the RAM, so I'll every time keep it as twice the RAM I'm having. No, not required. It's according to the environment. So you need to take a bit.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Vibhor? Any question?
No, that's it.
So are you all understanding the things? Are you all finding the class interesting?
Yeah. I'm understanding the thing.
Venkat?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all for today. So we are leaving it now to you to download that and install it and find the same error that the IP address is not obtained. Right? I'm expecting that error from you.
Yeah. How I can install the VMware workstation?
Please come with your question again.
How I can install the VMware workstation in my laptop?
VMware workstation.
Yeah.
You go to www.vmware.com.
No. We installed. We already in my laptop VMware Works is already installed. But the thing is that the license is got expired.
So which version of VMware workstation you are having?
1 second, I will tell you. .14.1.
Okay, drop me your email ID. I'll send you the keys. And Vibhor?
Yeah. For me, it's the trial version going on.
So which version you are having, dear?
I think it's 12. Let me check. Yeah, it's
12 or
workstation
14?
12.
12, nah, you will get the keys now. 14, I had the keys. Did you see ransomware?
No.
You didn't see ransomware? Good luck.
No.
My two virtual machines. My wife's virtual machine. My wife has a virtual machine, you know. See, it takes that virtual machine by VDA on her cell phone and downloads the torrent movies. This is the key for you, Weaver. Venkat, I'll send you the keys.
Send me an mail or just
give me some time here. I have to.
did you send me on mail?
I'll send you a mail. Be sure, 110%. I'll send you a mail.
Okay.
What is that? Weaver, you are from Germany, right now?
Yeah.
And Venkat, you are from?
India.
You are from India. Which part of India?
Chennai.
Oh, Chennai. Excellent.
As such, I am also from India.
You are from which part of India? Venkat? Sorry, Weaver? Gurgaon. Oh, that's right. Okay, so Thank you so much for your time, and it was a nice class. I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks.
So much for being here.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Grant.
thank you.